No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
It feels wrong. It feels weird. I'm unaccustomed to this feeling. It makes me uncertain and makes me feel not at ease.
I'm depressed.
I don't know about depressed, but
I said I'm depressed.
Well, that's a different story altogether then, I suppose. It's just not something we're used to talking about. Winnipeg Jets lost. Is the sun still going to come up tomorrow? Is it still going to be a blue sky tomorrow? It might be cloudy. I don't know. It's just a weird feeling. It hasn't happened very often this year. Hasn't happened very often in the month of February. First time in the month of February, in fact, that the Winnipeg Jets have lost the game. 2-1 tonight. They drop the decision in Nashville against the Predators. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg. The program brought to you by our friends at Play Now, here to discuss a defeat. The Jets, losers, 2-1 in Nashville tonight. A game where they desperately needed a power play goal. They were given opportunities to get one, but the linchpin, the backbone of this team's success, or a big portion of this team's success, as of late, continues to struggle. Tonight, they go 0 for 4 on the man advantage, and that's not the only reason they lost the game, but a power play goal sure would have gone a long way to making this a tied game or even a Winnipeg Jets victory, gentlemen.
Good evening, boys. Yeah, that's 2 games in a row, right, where the Jets have failed to score on a 5-on-3.
Yeah.
And with the Jets power play this year, you're just not expecting that. But let's be honest here, guys. Like, Josh Morrissey had that incredible chance in the second period. UC Saros made a great save. And then Ehlers had a great chance right after that. And then also late in the third period, Ehlers had that chance when there was a terrible Predators line change, and Morrissey sprung Ehlers, right? So UC Saros deserves a lot of credit for tonight's victory, right?
Game.
Well, I mean, no, and the Predators, like, look, Philip Forsberg was robbed by Comrie, so that would have given them a 2-goal lead, right? So, like, let's give the Predators a little bit of credit here, but, they didn't have Roman Josi, their captain. Obviously, the Predators are not going to the playoffs this year. They're not a very good team, but, they were blocking shots, and you could tell guys, like, they were pretty excited to win that game. Obviously, now they can say they were the team that snapped the Jets' 11-game win streak, right? So, but you're right, Drew. I mean, UC Saros, he deserves a lot of credit for this win, and he played really good. And we shouldn't be surprised because UC Saros is an excellent goaltender, and nor should we be surprised how well Philip Forsberg played, right? Like, this is a guy who's got, over 300 NHL goals and a lot of NHL experience, and then you've still got guys like Ryan O'Reilly and Gus Nyquist and Stamkos and Marcia. So, like, let's not forget that this isn't a team without any talent. It's just not a team that's found.
Ezzy, they're pretty terrible. I mean, they won the game, and they won the game because of UC Saros. Let's not get carried away here. They have a lot of big names on their roster. And Dave, I want to get you in on this as well. But this Nashville team, I mean, the Jets were the better of the 2 teams in tonight's game. They outchanced the Predators handily. The expected goals in tonight's game were handily on the Jets side. If it wasn't for, the exceptional play of UC Saros, the Jets, would have won this game. If they got average goaltending, if the Predators got average goaltending, the Jets would have won this game. I mean, and I think that says a lot about the Jets, that on the second half of a back-to-back, and yes, the Predators are without Roman Josi, and he's a huge, huge part of their team. The Jets were still the better of the 2 teams. They just lost to a hot goaltender in tonight's contest, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't want to speak for Ez, but I think all Ez he was trying to point out was that there's a lot of talented players on this Predators roster, but I think the most talented one, let's put it this way, boys, if I was in that press box, it'd be the easiest 3 stars ever, because you knew that the 2 goaltenders deserved it. But I agree. I think the UC Saros was definitely the difference in this game. But Drew, Eric Comrie made a number of spectacular
Sure.
saves. And so, to the point that my colleague down below is making, I mean, the Predators easily could have had a 3-1 lead in the third if it wasn't for the toe stave that Eric Comrie made. And there were a number of, just before they got the game, what turned out to be the game winning goal, he made a number of real great saves. So it's just, I mean, look, this is the second game of a back-to-back. The Jets were 1-4 this season going into back-to-back. So it's not been their forte in that regard. Shockingly, one of the few areas where they're not exceptional. And most teams, I don't know what the league average is. I haven't checked that out, Ezzy, but I suspect it's not great. And this is always a challenge. So look, it was a close game. It was a game that easily could have won. UC Soros definitely deserves the credit, though. I mean, he was le différence, I thought, for that in that game, and he's the reason why his team is walking away with 2 points. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like I said, it was not a great game. There were a lot of guys who just didn't have good games. Okay. That's the other way you had to look at it, right? Like I thought Kyle Connor really struggled in tonight's game. I didn't think the first, they had some chances early, but I didn't think they were particularly great. And everyone kind of looked gassed. They have a practice scheduled for tomorrow. I'll be shocked if they actually don't cancel, because they especially given that they're playing 3 and 4 with the game against the Flyers here in Winnipeg on Saturday. But to me, this just was a team it's still, look, and even though they won, let's be clear, guys, the wins against St. Louis and San Jose, they weren't the prettiest of wins. Right. So this is a team, and before people start getting ruthless, and I agree with Doug's comment from earlier, boys, like one of the things he said is this is a team that's been having success. There's a lot of teams coming out of the break that aren't winning all their games, right? So the Washington Capitals, they lost today. So the Jets will maintain their 3-point advantage in top spot of the NHL. But I just think, I'm not shocked. I mean, when someone asked me before the game if I thought the Jets were going to win, I didn't think actually the Jets were going to win tonight personally. So I'm not terribly surprised by today's outcome. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think you made a very good point about some of the players, the key players for the Jets struggling in tonight's game. I agree with Kyle Connor was not at his sharpest. I don't think he's been at his sharpest really since the Four Nations ended. There's been golden opportunities on his stick that have not gone into the back of the net as they frequently would have when he's at his peak.
You guys mentioned that he had 7 shots on net. It's I don't agree with you guys. I thought Connor was fine tonight. He was out on the power play. He was doing his thing. He was creating offense.
I thought there were some neutral zone turnovers that he made. I thought there were a couple instances where he fought the puck a little bit.
I thought he made some bad decisions in terms of passing. I mean, and again, even on the power play, I thought, again, I'm not saying he didn't get shots but I don't know. To me, I guess what I'd say is when Kyle Connor's humming along, you recognize it. And to me, that wasn't tonight.
Yeah, I would
7 shots on net.
Yeah, so he's racking up the shots on net. There's no question about that.
7 shots of fireball. That doesn't mean that you're on fire just yet.
Look, this was going to always be a bit of a grinder. You just knew it was 3 and 4 nights back to back, a weird back to back, traveling from Ottawa to Nashville, which is not your traditional back to back situation.
Or Mikey McIntyre had to fly all the way to Chicago just to get to Nashville.
That's right. There's no direct Ottawa to Nashville flight like there is a direct Winnipeg to Nashville flight. We're the big city.
Take that, Ottawa.
Yeah, take that, Ottawa is right. Look, it felt like it was always going to be a bit of a struggle tonight, and it really sort of manifested itself and played itself out on the ice that way. And I would be concerned if the Jets looked, if they were outplayed by Nashville, if Nashville was, far and away the better of the two teams. But that wasn't how I sort of evaluated the game through my eye test. The numbers backed it up that, the Jets, were the better of the two teams in every category except for the one that matters the most, the final score.
Yeah, it was pretty even, Drew. You could give, I think, a slight edge to the Jets here, but I think a lot of that edge, is coming from the fact that they were on the power play for most of the second half of the second period, right? But I think that, look, the Jets still have a 9-point lead over Dallas for first in the Central, first in the Western Conference. Like Dave said, they're still first in the league. So an 11-game winning streak will allow you to lose a game here and there, right? So again, they lose a game, but they're 11-1 in their last 12 games, right? And nobody has been able to catch up to the Jets, right? So I'm with you though, Drew. This is a game in which you wanted the effort, and the effort was there, and the Jets were battling, and we talked about it. Morrissey's chance on the nice feed from Scheifele to the right of Saros. Like we talked about, Ehlers had a good chance late in the second period up the middle. Ehlers had a good chance late in the third period on the partial breakaway. Like there were chances. The Jets had the more high danger chances. It wasn't, the most high danger chances in a game for the Jets this year, but it was still more than Nashville. Right. And that shouldn't be surprising because Nashville's had trouble creating offense all year long. And, Drew and I were kind of going at it a little bit earlier, but like, let's not forget that this team was being picked by a lot of people to finish either first or second in the Central. Not necessarily me, but all I'm saying is it's been a big shocker that they've been this poor. Like you just look at Steven Stamkos's numbers, or, remember Gus Nyquist had a career year last year, Dave, with 75 points. I think he's at 20 points this year, right? So usually when a team doesn't meet expectations, there's more than just one player who has faltered, right? And that's the case with Nashville. Like, Philip Forsberg's still having a good year. Jonathan Marchessault's still almost a point per game player, right? Like they've still got pieces there. But it's once you get down to the third and fourth lines, like they just don't have the same depth that a team like the Jets has, right? Like they just don't, guys like Michael McCarron and, Cole Smith, Kiefer Bellows, like this doesn't compare to the Jets bottom six, right? But so I'm with Drew. I mean, you like the effort. It was a 1-goal game. So, I mean, like if you would have lost this game 5-1, right, and the Jets were out of their structure and, they looked sloppy and everything like that. I mean, the Jets definitely looked slower tonight, but that's to be expected in the second game of a back-to-back. So, you regroup. You've got, like Dave said, most likely they're going to have the day off. And then you've got Philadelphia coming in Saturday.
That's just it. I mean, exactly. It's again, I don't see I just don't see any cause for anything more than just, okay, you've lost the game. There wasn't, there was some uncharacteristic breakdowns, particularly on the game-winning goal. The Jets just, that was just such poor defensive play. Adam Lowry gets his pocket picked. That doesn't happen regularly, and it just leads to an easy goal for the Predators. There were just little things, the small details in the course of this game. And when UC Saros is locked in like that, he's a difficult goalie to beat. I thought the Jets, by and large, did the right things in the course of today's game. And there were still even, areas that they needed to get better at, that they will obviously look at the video and say, this is where this was an error. This is something we needed to do. This is where we needed to get, traffic in front. But UC Saros really, I thought, was the backbone for the Predators in tonight's game. And when he's on, it's just a good reminder of how good a goaltender he actually is, Dave.
Yeah, and I like this comment by FKN Loaded. I think I know what that means, but I'll just keep it that way, boys. Keep it PC. Keep it
freaking loaded.
Freaking loaded.
He's very wealthy. He's just a very, very wealthy person, and he's telling us how wealthy, or she are telling us how wealthy they are with their username.
Fair enough, but we played like we had time, and Nashville didn't give us any. So I like that comment because I think that's true. I mean, look, Nashville is, as he said, not going anywhere. This is not a team that is going to do anything at this point in the season. It's too far gone. They're third last, I should say, in the Western Conference. They are just a few points. It's amazing, actually, when you look back at when the last time the Jets played them, which was, I think beginning of January 7th, when in Winnipeg, they played that weird one where Nashville was on the road, started in Winnipeg, and then ended in Winnipeg. And I think Winnipeg beat them both games. But what I was going to say is, I guess Jets won both games in Winnipeg. Preds won both games in Nashville. But, most things had stayed the same, including their position in the Western Conference, boys, just a bit ahead of Chicago and San Jose. So to the point that Ez made, I'm not sure how many people, similar to an observation I made and I put on our Instagram, the Illegal Curve Instagram, everybody should be following that, of course, was how many people would have predicted the Jets would be first place with 6 weeks to go in the season, and how many people would have predicted that Nashville would be just above Chicago and San Jose? Not many. But one of the things the only thing that's really changed for them is that their PK, which was first in the NHL at the end of December, has slid down to 10th. But although it looked like it was back to being first again today, boys, against
It's a
Winnipeg
strong,
Jets.
it's an aggressive PK. I mean,
Yeah.
they really are an aggressive PK.
Which is kind of why I was tying it into the point from the previous one I just had up, which is that the Jets didn't have the time and space I think they anticipated that they would.
Yeah, when that PK is going for Nashville, they are on you like white on rice, to use the old expression. I don't know if you enjoy, maybe you're a brown rice kind of guy or a basmati rice kind of guy. I don't know. That's
Jasmine for me, Drew.
Jasmine, yeah, I thought you'd be a Jasmine kind of guy.
You're definitely a basmati.
I enjoy a good basmati rice. What can I tell you?
Shocker.
But in any event, I always enjoy watching a power play like that. Or
do you own a rice maker, by the way, Drew?
I don't. No,
he's got a crock pot. My guess is the Mandel household has a crock pot.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a crock pot.
No. We are traditional rice. We just boil our rice in a
cauldron.
Not a cauldron. Yeah, in a cauldron. Exactly. I'm boiling just like this, where I do my witchcraft in my spare time. It's half the cauldron is for witchcraft. The other half the cauldron is for rice, in case I get hungry while doing the witchcraft.
I'll get you, Ginsburg, eventually.
Right. I drop in that little pinch of Ginsburg hair, and I'm just toil and boil and boil and toil and trouble.
All right.
But,
love it.
Moving on from that. In any event, the Jets drop a 2-1 decision to the Nashville Predators tonight. Why don't we get into the goal-by-goal recap? Only 3 goals tonight. It probably won't be a long post-game show. It's the second half of a back-to-back for us as well, or for at least for you two guys, after I wasn't here last night. But we'll get into the goals as we do on the Illegal Curve post-game show, brought to you by Play Now.
The Play Now game recap.
Big thanks to our friends at Play Now for their support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Sign up for Play Now and get a casino welcome bonus up to $150. Play Now is Manitoba's local, legal, and secure gambling site and the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Conditions apply. 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. Remember, Saturday morning, Illegal Curve Hockey Show, 9 a.m., we are going to launch our next edition of Win Tickets to a Jets Game, courtesy of our friends at Play Now. So you've got to be following us on social media. That's at Illegal Curve on Facebook and on Instagram. Be sure to be following Play Now as well. And Saturday, we will launch our next contest to get somebody into another Jets game before the end of the regular season. So be sure to be tuned in on Saturday for details to that effect. We're looking forward to that. And of course, big thank you to our friends at Play Now for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show, as well as the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Jets got off to a good start. They had some early opportunities, particularly that first line of the Jets jumping over the boards early in the game. They weren't able to cash a puck past UC Saros, though. The Predators, however, were able to open the scoring right off the face-off, a set play. Philip Forsberg, his 22nd of the year. To Ezzy's point, he's still a good sniper in this league. Assist to Gus Nyquist and Ryan O'Reilly. Just a real nice set play off that face-off. And Forsberg can fire it, and it seemed like the puck was behind Eric Comrie before he even had an opportunity to react. There was bodies in front of him, but a real nice play by the Predators to get it started at the 4:26 mark, Ezzy.
Right, and you mentioned Philip Forsberg's shot. He's got one of the best shots in the league.
Yeah.
And we mentioned it earlier. I'd have to check his exact goal totals, but he's got over 300 career goals, and he's still going strong. One of the most one-sided trades of all time, boys, for Marty Erat. How can you forget that one? I mean, it just keeps getting worse and worse for the Capitals. But yeah, I mean, it's a set play, like you said, Drew, off the face-off. And I think it was Mason Appleton, if I'm not mistaken, who goes out there, because it was the Jets' third line that was out there. And I think it's Appleton who goes out to challenge Forsberg. And I'm not sure. I didn't see on the replay. I'm not sure if he deflects the shot or anything like that. But it's a spin around shot by Forsberg, and Comrie, really, you could tell by the way he reacted, he wasn't set like he would like to be. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those kind of situations. The way I looked at it live, at least, is Forsberg just kind of picked up the puck and spun and shot, right? Kind of like put it on net. I don't necessarily know that he was thinking he was going to score there. But going back to what you said before, Drew, I thought the Scheifele line had 2 really good shifts in the first 3 or 4 minutes of the first period before that goal was scored. From what I can remember, Velarde had a good scoring chance. So, I mean, again, if the Jets would have come out flat in the first period,
right,
and had no scoring chances and the first line looked awful, that would be one thing. We'd have a little bit more to talk about in that regard.
Yeah.
But the Scheifele line was good tonight, I thought. And again, you guys disagreed with me, even though I'll mention again, Kyle Connor did have 7 shots on goal tonight. I could see Drew shaking his head. But yeah, I mean, that was just a nice set play, and I think a shot that just fooled Comrie a little bit, Dave.
Dave's on mute.
Sorry, I was tweeting, making sure people knew to come to the show, of course. But
they know.
Well,
There's
I know, but
I like to be after each and every Winnipeg Jets game. It's the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, and then again Saturday mornings for the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. The people know. I appreciate tweeting. I
like to give them a gentle reminder, a little nudge, if you will, to make sure that the stragglers are getting here. But yeah, it's a nice set play by the Preds. They execute it properly, and Dylan Sandberg's a step too slow to get to kind of stay with Forsberg. And you're right, Ezzy. It's funny whenever his name comes up, I just think about that trade. And you can't help but think about the absolute fleecing by the Predators of the Capitals. Now, Capitals aren't doing too bad with the way they are currently, and of obviously having won a Stanley Cup, but at the same time,
I don't think Marty Eratz has a lot to do with either of those two things happening.
Fair enough, but it is remarkable though how good Forsberg has been, how consistent he has been, and it's a great shot, and it just beats Eric Comrie. And I just don't think he was expecting it. I think he was set, but I just don't think he was expecting the shot at that point, and it beats him clean.
Yeah, and it was Sandberg. You're right, Dave. I thought it was Appleton because it was the third line, but Sandberg was lined up on the right side, right? And he actually, you can see his stick gets a piece of Forsberg's stick.
Right.
So maybe even, Sandberg just kind of getting a little bit of the stick kind of changed the trajectory of the shot a little bit. Yeah. Regardless, I mean, you're not going to fault Comrie there. It was just one of 9 times out of 10, that shot is saved, right?
Yeah,
it's just you don't see goalies in the NHL get scored on a lot from there, but it was a nice clean shot, even though Sandberg got a piece of it there. But yeah, I just wanted to give you credit there. Just looking at the replay, you were right there.
Yeah, so 1-0 for the Predators early on in the contest. A goal you certainly know that they needed to get to feel good about themselves, climbing uphill against the juggernaut that is the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets do tie it up a little less than 7 minutes later, 11:05 of the first period. Neil Pionk, his 9th of the year, assist to Rasmus Kupari and Alex Iafallo. And it's just basically a strong, hard-working goal with a strong forecheck from the Jets' fourth line. You see David Gustafsson, he goes and wins a puck battle. You see Kupari wins the puck battle. You see Iafallo wins the puck battle. The victims for the Predators are Luke Evangelista, Luke Shen, and Mark Del Gaizo, who is not Michael Del Zotto under a different pseudonym. The Jets go low to high. They win the puck battles, behind Saros. The puck is sent back to the point where Pionk lets go of the shot. It's deflected in, glancing off of one of the Predators players, and the Jets have tied the game at 1 goal apiece. Just your typical, prototypical, hardworking, forecheck, puck battle winning fourth line goal, and then the Jets love the low to high play as much as any team in the league, and they executed well in getting this one past UC Saros, Dave, to tie it up at ones.
Just so much good work by the fourth line. I mean, talk about energy, right? And as he said it, a few moments ago, just that they did seem to be playing with a ton of energy, and it was evident on this shift because they were relentless, and every single guy was down below the goal line, working, creating pressure, creating turnovers. And then, ultimately they get the puck back to Neil Pionk. And it's, I joked on Twitter that, he's a baseball player, so he's familiar with the knuckle ball, but that was the old knuckle puck that found the top corner and beat UC Saros. And it did seem to energize the Jets, get them going. I think it was like 7 minutes after the Preds had taken the lead. So, I just thought it was nice to see that line got rewarded because they've worked hard. And as we know, they don't score a ton of goals. So even though they didn't score it, they were big contributing factors for Winnipeg being able to draw even with Nashville at 1.
And before you give your analysis of that goal, I'm going to also declare it, because the Jets only scored the one goal in tonight's game. I'm going to declare it the Seagram shot of the game.
Seagram shot of the game.
Now, I before you give the see, it's funny, Drew. Just think about what it's called, though. It's not called the Seagram's goal of the game. It's called the Seagram's shot of the game. So in my thought mind, the Eric Comrie save Evie.
Wow, you guys are getting you got even further nicknames beyond just Ezzy for him. He's now Evie.
Well, my grandmother's name was Evelyn, so
that's where I was going, obviously.
Okay,
but the point is that it could be for Eric Comrie's stopping what would have been the shot of the game. But it, didn't go in because he made a save. But we don't have a save of the game one. We talked about that. We're in negotiations. We'll see if we can get that going. But for now, just saying, it could have been that could have been the shot of the game, which was saved.
It could have been. You're absolutely right. And I just decided to.
If my aunt had balls, it'd be my uncle as well.
Yeah,
I like how Ezzy's mic. I like how Ezzy's mic sounded like it kind of cut out there, so it looked like we were kind of trying to protect intern Bailey's ears.
We're operating in a 7-second delay when none of us even knew that. That was always a little secret that, and I'm pretty sure that I can tell the secret now because, it's long and dead and gone. TSN 1290 never operated in a 7-second delay because the board, like the operator's board that they used to get on air was so old and so antiquated, it didn't have a 7-second delay feature. And I think you all know that Bell Media wasn't going to pony up for any sort of operator's board that was from the late 20th century. So anybody could have cursed on air as a result.
But don't you remember that? Well, first of all, I'm pretty sure we cursed on air, but don't you remember, Ezzy? That was the best part. Don't you remember they had that fancy new board for years and they're like, oh, we're just going to build a new studio. Oh, wait. We're going to kill the studio. But they had the board. Don't you remember? It was there for years. They were ready to install it, supposedly.
Evie, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I forget. Are we talking about the Jets' goal here?
You can talk about whatever you want, really, at this point in time.
Let's talk about our emotions, boys. No, I mean, just to finish off on that first goal, Dave and Drew, you already mentioned this. I mean, it's just good work, right? Like it starts off Alex Iafallo pressuring the forward. I believe it was Colton Sissons. And then we talked about Mark Delgaizo, who, by the way, obviously not a household name. Dave will know he's spent, I think, the last 5 years with the Milwaukee Admirals. Mm-hmm. Not a high draft pick either, from Basking Ridge, New Jersey. He's obviously in because Roman Yossi's out of the lineup, right? But I actually thought, he was kind of impressive for a guy that obviously is, not a very well-known commodity in the NHL. But yeah, it's just a hard-working goal. Love the work by Rasmus Kupari. And yeah, Dave mentioned this on X. It's a bit of a knuckle puck. It's a little bit of an ugly goal, right? But that's sometimes what it takes. And look, at that point in the period, there wasn't a lot going on. Like it was, nice for the Jets to tie that game up. Mm-hmm. We didn't know it was going to be their only goal of the game. But yeah, I think you love to see in the second game of a back-to-back, you love to see the fourth line working hard like that.
Yeah, and they get rewarded to tie it up at 1. And then the third and final goal of the game and the third and final goal of the first period occurs at the 15:29 mark. It's a power play goal. Alex Iafallo's in the penalty box, and then the Jets just have a terrible defensive breakdown. You go back and you watch the video, and all 4 Winnipeg Jets penalty killers are on one side of the net, leaving Tommy Novak all by himself. Adam Lowry gets his pocket picked. It's just an uncharacteristic amount of errors by the Winnipeg Jets PK, a PK, of course, that has been better over the last number of weeks, ever since Dylan Samberg got back in the lineup. Novak, his 12th assist to Justin Barron and Luke Evangelista. Just a terrible breakdown by the Jets, a uncharacteristic play by Adam Lowry. And Novak says, thank you very much. I don't think any of us expected it to be the game-winning goal. I don't think any of us expected it to be the last goal of the game, but so it was at the 15:29 mark. The Predators get the 2-1 victory off of this defensive breakdown by the Winnipeg Jets.
Let's not forget, guys, right before this goal was scored, Comrie made an incredible. Was it Ryan O'Reilly?
Made 2.
It was Ryan O'Reilly, if I remember correctly, in the first period. Seems like it was a year ago.
This was not a game that anybody's going to want to rewatch.
No. And look, Nashville's not a good team. We established that, and this was the second game of a back-to-back. You're absolutely right, Drew. This was not. I think when people look back at the magical season that was the 24-25 Jets. This will not be a game that Jets fans will only remember this game because it ended the 11-game winning streak, right? But yeah, Dave is right. It was 2 really good saves on Ryan O'Reilly. So you feel bad for Comrie here that the Jets weren't able to kill that off. But you're right, Drew. I mean, it was just not textbook penalty killing here. The Jets got caught, a turnover by Adam Lowry behind the net, and Tommy Novak's just completely wide open, right? And he just, puts it past Comrie. Comrie really doesn't have any chance going right to left there. But that's what kind of stands out to me, that on that PK, I mean, Comrie was doing everything he could to get the Jets to that first intermission tied. But that's what happens when you turn over the puck like that behind your own net.
Yeah, it's a good lesson in not having turnovers while shorthanded and then losing track completely of your defensive responsibilities, because Tommy Novak is not going to have an easier goal this year than this one was. Just a complete breakdown by the Winnipeg Jets. That ended the first period. That ended the scoring in the game. We have to talk, of course, about the 5-on-3. Colton Sissons and Blankenberg both in the box. The Jets have a 5-on-3 for the second consecutive game. This one was a minute and 54 seconds of a 5-on-3. And again, they had some chances. UC Saros had to make a number of big saves, but I still didn't think that the execution was crisp. I thought it was just, I don't know if they were just trying a little too much, but it was not the machine-like effectiveness that we've seen from the Jets power play. Jets power play 5-on-4 has been far more effective. Even 5-on-3, this one was just a little haggard, a little maybe a little too many hope plays involved in it than I would have thought from the Jets that from the man advantage that we've seen from the Jets so far this year, Dave.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. It was almost forced. I think that would be the word I used, because
Forced is a good word.
Yeah, I just think like when you watched them try and feed the guy, whomever it was, it just never seemed like it was like we've always, again, it's quick, Ezzy, it's crisp, it's efficient, guys are in the right spots, and just again, like I said, and I'm not here to make excuses, but like, let's be clear. This power play was the best power play historically, 34% before the break. They've been off for a while, and obviously guys were in, like Kyle Connor was playing with the Americans and Josh Morrissey with the Canadians. So it's maybe taking a little bit of time to get their rhythm back, because I mean, like, how many times, especially with, if you would have put this power play units, sorry, that's the other thing I don't like. In terms of using that word forced, like there's no excuse for them taking almost 2 minutes on the 5-on-3.
I agree. I clocked it at around a minute 40 for the first power play unit on the 5-on-3, Dave. And I think especially because you're in the second game of a back-to-back, right? So these guys are gassed, and you could tell, right? Like, and we were joking earlier, like Kyle Connor was still like moving around, and Josh Morrissey was quarterbacking, and Scheifele, from what I could remember, had a decent scoring chance on that 5-on-3, but
especially after one of the I don't remember which Predators player broke his stick, so it was almost a 5-on-2.5.
Right,
and I think it was O'Reilly. Wasn't it O'Reilly?
I think it was O'Reilly, and Scheifele takes that sort of bad angle shot.
Yeah,
and Saros had to make an okay save. He had to make a decent save, but in that instance, I think you just need a little bit better awareness at that point. I'm not sure that's the shot you want to take in that instance. Once you notice that the Predators player has lost his stick,
right,
and you can really try and work it at that point in time.
And sorry, Drew, Dave, I was just going to say, Mo, we got the comment up here, like the 5-on-3. I don't know if I'd say it looked like crap tonight, but like it almost looked like, a team that had a full 2-minute 5-on-3 last night, Dave. And that was a little bit in their heads. And that's the thing that, like you talked about, when you have a historic power play, the way it was clicking on that homestand, it was clicking. It was 50% for 4 or 5 games there, right? So like it was automatic, and they went out there, and there was a lot more set plays, right? It was like pass the puck around a little bit, isolate someone down low, and either go to the bumper to get a shot from Scheifele, or have Gabe Vilardi go down low with it. Like, it just seems like maybe they're overthinking a little bit. One pass too many, but it's a bit of a concern. I don't think it's going to be much of a concern. Like, I could see them putting in a couple power play goals against Philly, and then all of a sudden they're back to scoring a power play goal every game, right, Dave? But I mean, what are they 0 for their last 15 or 16? Like, it's got to be a bit of a concern.
Yeah, no, I do. I think it is. And like I said, to me, I understand when I say it's selfish, I don't mean it like they're trying to get points, because I don't think it's that. I just think that they care about the team and they want the team to have success, and they feel like they're the best manner to achieve that. But I would point to the fact that the second power play unit has been effective this year. And I just don't like the fact that these, you're to take a minute 45. It's unnecessary. It's just, you're not helping the team out. So that to me was just, like I said, you want to let, ultimately your big dogs have to be your big dogs, but when you don't seem to have it, and I'm not, and like, we should also mention there was that great, and that's why I keep crediting UC Soros, because I thought he was fantastic. There was that play that Mark Scheifele made to Josh Morrissey backdoor, and Soros got over and made a fantastic stop. So there were a number of saves in this game where the Jets, so that's the one thing. I'm not saying the Jets didn't get their chances, as Drew outlined. They had, it was 8-3, 5-on-5 high danger chances. So obviously the Jets had their opportunities, which is why I thought UC Soros was excellent in this hockey game. Again, the power play structure is I mean, again, sorry, as he's right, the power play going over 14 or 15 or whatever it's been since the Four Nations break has resumed is disconcerting. But I wouldn't say it's a, you're not hitting the panic button just yet. It's just something, one of those things. It's like, okay, you take note of it, and you again, this, whether they practice tomorrow or if they practice on Sunday, it's just going to be something that they're going to have to work on.
That's right. There's always going to be a time for your special teams to go into a bit of a slump. They were never going to operate at, the 50% mark for the entirety of the year. So if you're slumping while still winning, 3 of your first 4 games out of the break, well, you can stomach that kind of slump from your special teams.
Well, and Matt Hyman's, sorry, Drew, Matt Hyman's got the comment up for those listening on the podcast. His comment is, are teams making adjustments, or are the guys going back to old habits? Like, or it's just that they're not finishing, right?
Yeah,
like,
I think that's just finishing.
And Dave mentioned the Morrissey chance on backdoor. Soros made the save. That was after the power play, right? Like, that was at even strength, right? So like, the Jets had, like, look, when you have almost a full 5-on-3 opportunity in the second period, and they had remember the power play after that. I forget who took the penalty. It was late. It was like 50 seconds left or something.
Well, they had a power play at the last minute of the second, and in the first minute of the Philip Forsberg took that tripping penalty.
Right, there you go.
I think he took down the Mesnikov. Is that who, if I recall correctly?
It's kind of funny. Forsberg, I thought, had an excellent game, but he also took 2 kind of lazy penalties.
Well, I mean, it's hard. If you're Philip Forsberg, if you're Jonathan Marchessault, if you're Steven Stamkos, obviously Yossi didn't play in the game. I mean, these are tough games to play. You're used to playing for playoff seeding. You're used to gearing up for the playoffs. It's been just such a disaster of a season in Nashville. I mean, you're playing to be spoiler at this point in time. And these are
absolutely, that's what they did tonight. You could tell. I mean, you could tell those last few minutes after the Jets pulled their goalie, like, they were playing for something. It's not like these guys don't know. It's not like these, like Dave, like the Jets come into town and they don't know that they've won 11 in a row. Like, the Jets, like Dave said earlier, it's all over TSN. I mean, it's all over Sportsnet. Like, everybody knows the Jets are the hottest team in the league, right? So, I mean, that's exactly what they're playing for, Drew. And you're right. I mean, this has been a very disappointing season for the Predators. And, Steven Stamkos does not look like Steven Stamkos. He looks slow. He looked a little bit disinterested.
Well, I mean, when was the last time Steven Stamkos would have missed the playoffs? I mean,
whoa, a lot. You're going way back.
Way back.
You're going like, I don't even know how many years, like Tampa 10 years ago.
Probably Tampa was a perennial playoff team. Yeah. I mean, and not just like a playoff fodder first round playoff team. No. They we're going to go to the Eastern Conference Final every year playoff team.
Yeah, they went to the Stanley Cup Final 3 years in a row, right? And won
now
twice.
Now he's playing in these meaningless games in a half-empty arena.
That was the crowd tonight in Nashville today.
Well, again, hey, Athletic, why don't you go do a in-depth report about that instead of just going for the low-hanging fruit? But they wouldn't dare do that. That would not be their MO. But yeah, I don't blame people in Nashville for not going out and watching this team right now. Why would you? Their season's over. They're playing out the string. There's more fun things to do, but I get it. I mean, I understand completely where it's coming from. And then that's why I always, I was talking to somebody earlier today, and this will be a bit of a digression from post-game comment, but I'm like, I was thinking to myself, if we did this post-game show, and we were on, and we covered the Sabres, or we covered the Blackhawks, or we covered one of these just awful teams and awful organizations, boy, it would just be absolutely.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, we traded you to the Sabres podcast.
Darn it all. Okay.
By the way, sorry, you mentioned the Blackhawks. Did you guys see what the score was between Vegas and Chicago after one period?
5-1.
5-1 after one period.
They have scored twice in the second period, though. It's now a 5-3 game. But that's especially funny because did you see these shot attempts between Chicago and Utah on Tuesday night?
No.
This is where Seth Jones went off on his team after the game.
Yeah.
The shot attempts on Tuesday night were something like 93-29.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like it's not like
but they're not.
Utah's not a juggernaut, by the way.
No, but they're a fast team, and they're a quick team. I'm just saying, like I think Utah gets disregarded, but I again, like I said, they've got.
To your point, they're up 6-1 on Minnesota right now.
Yeah.
They are up 6-1 on Minnesota.
I was just gonna say I wouldn't. All I'm saying to you is I wouldn't disregard if Utah could somehow sneak in
4 points out of a wild card spot, Dave.
I'm just.
I think Dave is about to start up the Utah bandwagon here.
I'm not. I'm just saying that I think Utah has some. They're got some good structure. They've got a fast team. They got some good young talent. Yeah. Just saying.
Well, it just shows you how bad the Western Conference is at the bottom. That St. Louis has won 3 games in a row. Now they're only 2 points out of a wild card spot.
Well, it's really and Calgary lost tonight to the.
By the way, we've got folks who would still be here, Drew. Just so you know, even if we were doing a podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And of course, we had a good chance to chat at the. Where do we chat? At the special edition show.
Boston Pizza?
No, the special edition at City Place.
Oh yes, okay. It's at City Place. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that's where we had a chance to introduce ourselves and say hello, so we know that folks are real and they coming up and chit chat. But yeah, I mean, look, it's a weird season, which is why again, one of the other things that people should focus on, whether getting upset about the Jets losing to Nashville. Yeah. Edmonton's lost 5 straight. The Capitals now have lost 2 in a row. The Vegas lost their last one. They'll probably win tonight. And Minnesota's getting pumped. So, again, teams lose. And I know that people are going to say that it's Nashville. You shouldn't lose that game. But, how many? Let's put it this way, folks.
They came very close to winning that game. At the very least, they came close to getting a point in that game.
Let's remind everyone of one thing. How many times do you think a visiting fan base, or not a visiting fan base, an opposing fan base, watched a Jets game from years back and said, there's no way we should have lost that game, but that Connor Hellebuck was so good. So, I mean, it doesn't take a lot.
Turnabout is fair play is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
All righty. Let's go to break. We'll come back with more of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, and our good friend Evie at the bottom of the screen. It's presented by Play Now. Don't go anywhere.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling sites instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Center. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Center. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in 2 unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg. A reminder to everybody, next Thursday, the Jets will be in Philadelphia. Maybe they're going to be making some trades as the game's going on. We don't know. That's the day before the trade deadline. But we'll be at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue for another edition of the Illegal Curve Watch Party. So come spend your trade deadline eve with us. Watch the Jets and the Flyers. They'll play their second game against each other in the span of about 5 days or so. We'll talk about the Jets. We'll talk about the Flyers. We'll have some drinks. We'll have some pizza. We'll do a post-game show. We'll have some good times. So join us next Thursday at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue for another edition of the Illegal Curve Watch Party and live on location post-game show. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to being with our friends at Boston Pizza. Neil Pionk, post-game, quote, you run into a good goalie, you don't fire on special teams, that's a bad recipe.
Mm-hmm.
It's fairly accurate, fairly precise, fairly obvious, but nice to hear it from a player nonetheless. Jets head coach Scott Arniel, quote, we're always going to get the other team's best. The chances were like 13-6 or something like that for us, 5-on-5. We had a lot of opportunities to win the hockey game. We had some good looks and some good zone time, but that's this league. You have those nights. We can usually score goals. We just didn't find the net. Dan Robertson on the broadcast referenced that. Something like the Jets missed the net 22 times in the course of tonight's game, which sort of just exemplifies how they were sort of struggling to beat UC Saros. Speaking of which, or not speaking of UC Saros, here's what Kyle Connor had to say about Eric Comrie. Quote, our back-to-backs haven't been great this year, and Comrie, has unfortunately had to play every single one of them. You feel for the guy, but he gives us a chance every single night. He's been like that all year. So that is some post-game reaction. Scott Arniel says that the Jets were a lot better than what he saw on Wednesday night. There was a big, vast improvement in how we were moving the puck, which says something about the Jets, that they were better on the second half of a back-to-back, even though they lost, whereas they won on the first part of it handily, in fact, yet the coach wasn't that pleased with how they played. So there's some post-game commentary. That is all courtesy of Paul Friesen in his write-through on the Winnipeg Sun website, winnipegsun.com. So thanks to Freezer for getting that up nice and quickly so that we could bring you some of those quotes here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. Fairly similar, fairly in tune to, I think, how we've assessed tonight's 2-1 defeat at the hands of the Nashville Predators.
Yeah, it was a good effort, a valiant effort. There were scoring chances. The 5-on-3 obviously was, I think stands out as an opportunity where the Jets could have buried one and tied up the game. Saros played excellent, and the Jets' long winning streak finally comes to an end. It looked like they weren't going to lose, but hopefully they're going to be able to start a new one starting on Saturday. They've got the Flyers twice in 5 or 6 days, so There's going to be a lot of 6 o'clock start times with the Jets going out east and playing teams like the Devils and the Islanders, and who else is in there? The Rangers,
Islanders,
and Hurricanes, and then they've got the Rangers at home.
Yeah, don't have the Rangers. They already played the Rangers in New York. They have they have Philly at home. It's a stretch of Eastern Conference games. They have Philly at home on Saturday. Then they go to the Islanders on Tuesday, the Flyers on Thursday, the Devils on Friday, and the Hurricanes on Sunday before they come home to face the Rangers and then I believe the Dallas Stars.
It's not the easiest schedule coming up, boys, and obviously, the Jets aren't playing for their playoff lives right now. They're playing to maintain first in the entire league, right? So that's a little bit of a different situation maybe than in years past. But obviously, some of those teams are less talented.
Jersey's a good team. Second, they'll play the Devils on the second half of a back-to-back. Carolina's a good team. So those are the two best teams they're going to play on that 4-game road trip that starts next Tuesday. But of course, they got the Flyers at home first on Sunday. So the Jets are going to head home.
Saturday.
They're going to. Sorry, what'd you say, Dave?
On Saturday.
Pardon me. Yes, Saturday. The last Saturday home game of the regular season also. So tickets available for that game. Of course, if you're interested in catching the Jets on Saturday night at home before I'm sure they'll have you'd hope they'd have a Saturday night playoff game, but I guess that's TV dependent at that point in time.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add is just the only curiosity is that no Morgan Barron. We saw Justin Barron Justin Barron got the game-winning assist on the goal by Novak, but
he was noticeable tonight. I thought he had a good game.
Yeah, was Colin Miller banged up?
So that's what I was going to say. Yeah. So I was going to say so you got no Morgan Barron because he was again, we anticipated based on what Scott Arniel said. Now the only thing I can think of that changed the equation was they traveled on Tuesday. Sounds like they didn't really skate yesterday, maybe an optional in Ottawa, and didn't skate this morning. So he didn't really have a ton of opportunity, and so we'll see. I mean, we don't know if his next opportunity is until Saturday. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's clearly going to be skating on his own with the other guys who are healthy scratches, the Villahinolas and Jared Anderson-Dolans. So there's that. And then, of course, and I don't know if Mike McIntyre asked about it, but yeah, Hayden Fleury was in for Colin Miller. Now, we don't know if that was, and we haven't listened to the comments from Scott Arniel, but as far as I know, there's nothing been on. I haven't really been checking the old socials.
Nothing online just yet.
Okay, so we don't know if that was because he just wanted to get Hayden Fleury in because, hey, you need guys to get into the game, cough Billy Hinola, but, at the same time, it's just interesting that they choose to play Logan Stanley on the right. I still can't figure that one out very much, but it is what it is.
How much longer is Ville Heinola a member of the Jets, boys? I don't
think unless they hold on. I'll say this. Unless they're planning on, making him as part of a package. I don't know. I mean, I think
he's still here after the trade deadline.
He doesn't have a ton of value. I mean, I guess the team would take him on the possibility, but there's not a ton of, you're not getting a ton of value. And if
I could see him being here after the trade deadline, Drew. I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's necessarily going to be here past the summer. Oh. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, like, he's 8th on the depth chart right now. Obviously, right?
Yeah, if not 9th, when you consider Hayden Fleury.
Yeah.
And Dylan Coughlin down at the ripping up goals for the Manitoba Moose.
Well, somebody's got to score for the Moose.
As Patrick said, Billy's not a member right now.
That's right.
Hey, Drew, don't besmirch those Manitoba Moose. They've won 3 games of their last 4, and they're going to be going back to Belleville tomorrow, Ezzy, for another win.
Well, we look forward to talking about that then come Saturday morning on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, and then, of course, Saturday night on the Illegal Curve post-game show. So big Saturday in store. We'll be back at 9 a.m. on Saturday. We hope you will be as well. If you haven't already done so, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channels, turn your notifications on. That way you'll get a nice little alert every time we go live here on our Illegal Curve channel, be it for the Illegal Curve Hockey Show or the Illegal Curve post-game show. Want to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors. They make this show a possibility. That, of course, is our friends at Play Now. They're the title sponsor of this show. Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club. Holt Dental, Boston Pizza will be there, like I said, next Thursday. City Place will be there the afternoon, the 12 noon, for the 12 noon edition of the show. The night that the day that the Jets and the Stars face off against each other. I think that's the
14th.
14th of March. So you can stay tuned for that Friday, March 14th, a 12 noon edition of the show will be at City Place. And of course, our friends at Seagram's support all these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Jets lose. Haven't said that very often this
Sounds
year.
weird, man.
Does
Not
sound weird.
once in February.
No, they lose 2-1 to the Nashville Predators. Post-game coverage on illegalcurve.com. And, of course, illegalcurve.com, the Illegal Curve YouTube channel is your destination as well. For Dave Manouk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Until Saturday at 9 a.m., we wish you good night and good luck. And thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.